What's up, y'all? I hope that y'all's Christmas was very merry and that you did it in the reason of the season was Jesus Christ, and that your holidays were blessed and you had a good time. Now you're ready to be back. You probably ate a lot of turkey and ham and all that good stuff when you were away, and now we're about to get back into the real meat and the real food that we have today. Today I want to talk to y'all about leaning not on our own understanding and being able to trust in the Lord with all of our heart and to do what He has called us to do. Because a lot of times we get, caught up in what's going on around us and what's going on with our circumstances, and we take our mind and off of what God has said to us. And a lot of times it can be hard to go and do something because the situation doesn't look too well or it doesn't look too good. But if we can remember what God said to us, then we'll be able to go forth in peace and do what He's told us to do. And it says here in Proverbs 3:5 and 6, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil." And I'm going to read verse 5 again. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths." There's a story in the Bible, and it talks about how 12 spies were sent out into a land to see what the land was going to be like. Before they went out, they were already told that they were going to be able to take the land. So they go into the land with 12 people. They go and they look and they see that the land is good. They're spying out the people, seeing what they look like, and they bring it back to their leader, and they go back to him, and 10 of them come back and they say, "Oh, there's no way. We're not going to be able to do this. We're like grasshoppers in their sight. There's no way that we're going to be able to do this." And then there's 2 other people by the name of Joshua and Caleb. And they came back and they said, no, let us not focus on that. We can do this. Our God said that we can do it. Our God said that we were able to go and take over the land. He had already said it. So if He already said it, then that means that we're going to be able to do it. See, the 10 people were focused on the facts. They were focused that the people were bigger than them. They were focused that the land was really big and they probably had more people than they had, but they weren't focused on what God had already said. It says in Isaiah 55, verses 8 through 12, it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways." He's saying, your mind can't even comprehend what I think and what I say and what my ways are like. The way that you do things isn't the way that I do things. The way that you may comprehend things isn't the way that I comprehend things. So when it says when we lean not on our own understanding, our understanding can't even comprehend the way that God thinks about us. It can't even comprehend the way that He's about to direct your path wherever it is that you're going in life, the way that He's spoken over your life. And then if we continue to read down, it says, "For as the rain comes down and the snow from heaven and returns not hither, but waters the earth and makes it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing where I sent it." He's saying that when my word comes down, it's like rain that goes down to the grass, and then the grass is going to grow. The same way is my word when it goes out of my mouth. So if I said it, if I spoke over your situation, if I spoke to you, it's going to prosper and do what I said that it's going to do. And it may not make sense to you if you try to add up the giants and seeing how they're so much bigger than you. But if you comprehend that His ways are higher, that His thoughts are higher, that will be able to give you the peace and being able to go into the land and to overtake the land. See, it says in verse 12, after you get that understanding that you know that His word is going to do exactly what it says that it's going to do, you'll be able to go forth. It says right here in verse 12, it says, "For you shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. You can't be led forth in peace if it's your will. You can't be led forth in peace if it's what you try to comprehend in your mind. See, those 10, if they tried to go into this city, they would be fearful. They wouldn't be able to do it because they've taken the facts of what it looks like and they haven't compared it and weighed it against what God has said. So how is the word going to come to pass in their life if they don't believe in what God has said? They're leaning on their own understanding and they're not trusting in Him. They're not trusting in Jesus, not trusting in what God has spoken to them. Now I want to get us to, take another look at somebody else who was called to do something that the facts wouldn't make any sense. The facts wouldn't make any sense for him to be able to do what God has just told him to do. What's about to happen here is Jesus is going away and he's about to go and pray, and he tells his disciples to go and get into a boat. And he's about to come out to them later, and we're going to see it right here in verse 23. And after Jesus had constrained the disciples to go into the ship and to go before him unto the other side while he sent the multitudes away, and when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into the mountain to pray. And the evening was come, and the ship was now in the midst of the waves, and it was tossed with waves. So they're in a big storm. They're in a boat, and it's a storm. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them walking on the sea. And when his disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled in the spirit, and they're like, oh my goodness, what is this? Like, what's going on? They're seeing somebody walking on the water. You'd be afraid too. So would I. Because if I'm out in a boat when it's nighttime and I see something, anything walking on the water, I'm probably going to be terrified. And this is what it says right here. And Jesus speaks, and he says, be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid. And Peter, he's one of the disciples, he says, Lord, if it be thou, bid me to come onto you on the water. See, I don't know if I would have said that, to be honest. Like, it would make more sense. You'd probably feel a lot more safe in the boat than to step out onto the water. It would probably be more safe to stay in your comfort zone. But your comfort zone isn't really a comfort zone when it's compared to Jesus. Peter would rather be on water, walking on it to Jesus, than to be in his comfort zone, tossed by the waves of the sea. See, we need to understand that Jesus is the way, and what we need to do is not get an understanding of what's going on in our situation, but that if we are led by Jesus, we can step out on the water into the place that doesn't make any sense and be able to go forth with joy and to be able to go forth with peace, even though it doesn't make sense to be able to step out on water. Facts would say you cannot step out on water, but faith says, hey, and we're going to read it right here. And he said, come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. So he steps out onto the water. He sees the waves. He gets scared, and then he begins to sink, and he says, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him, and says unto him, O thou of little faith, why did you doubt? How many times do we step out on something that God has said, and then we look at the circumstance, we take our mind off of what God has said, and then we begin to sink and we fall off the path of what God has told us to do because we start caring about the things of the world. We get to caring about, how am I going to be able to do this? How am I going to be able to do that? It doesn't matter, because if his word came out and it said it, it's going to be able to do it. So when God said to Peter, hey, come on to the water, maybe God has told you, hey, come on and go to that college. Hey, come on, why don't you start that business? Hey, come on, why don't you go and join that team? Hey, why don't you come on and do that? But then whenever you want to go and step out and do it, you start focusing on your insecurities. Oh, I'm going to go to this school, but I don't have the funds to do it. How am I going to be able to do that? How am I going to be able to start this business? It doesn't matter what you try to comprehend with your mind. You need to get the understanding that it is what Jesus said. You may not know why he told you to go and do that. It might not make any sense, but if you take on the mindset that you're going to trust in him with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding of the things that are going on in your life, you're going to acknowledge him in all your ways, and he's going to direct your paths. He's going to direct you. People get so anxious and they're worried and they're fearful when they try directing their own paths. oh my God, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna have the funds for this. I don't know how I'm gonna have the funds for that. It doesn't matter. If you're gonna try and figure it out for your own self, you're gonna be in this turmoil. You're not gonna have any peace. But if God says it, you'll be able to step out of the boat onto the water with perfect peace. You'll be able to step out and do whatever it is He's told you to do. So you might be thinking like this, okay, yeah, God, He told me to go and do this. He told me to go to this school, but I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have to take this route all the way around the corner because in my mind, I have to come up with the funds. So I'm gonna have to work this job. And it's good to be prudent. It's to look good to the future. That's a good thing. Praise God. We need prudent men. We need prudent women. But you try to go around this big circle and try and do all these things to calculate it in your own mind. But when God says, hey, I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to do that thing for you. You need to take your human calculator and throw it out the window because we try to calculate all these things that what we're going to need. Oh, I'm going to need this. Oh, I'm going to need that. No, you just need to hear and step. You need to hear and step out in what He has said. Are people going to talk about you? Absolutely. People talked about Jesus. He stepped out of heaven onto earth, and He did exactly what God told Him to do, and people persecuted Him. People talked about Him, but you know what? He still was able to prosper every single place that He went because God said it. He directed Him. His ways are higher. His thoughts are higher. There's a multitude of people, and the disciples come up to, there's about 5,000 or more, and the disciples come up to Jesus. They're like, hey, you need to send these people home. And Jesus replies back and He said, you feed them. And they're probably like, I ain't got money like that. I'm only working a part-time job, and I'm doing this on the side. I got to take care of myself, but I don't know if I can feed all these people. He's like, what you got? And they're like, well, we got 1 loaf and we got 2 fish. So bring me what you got. Bring me that. Bring me that loaf and bring me that fish. And what He was able to do, He was able to take what they had and multiply it and be able to feed the 5,000. What is it that you think that you don't have enough of, that you've tried to comprehend with your own understanding, that you need to take that, what you don't understand, and acknowledge God in all of your ways, and you allow Him to direct your path. You allow Him to provide for you. You allow Him to take care of all that weight and all that burden that you try to carry on yourself. It's not for you to carry. And whenever you get that word, you'll be able to say, okay, let me bring you my loaf. Let me bring you my finances. Let me bring you my income. Let me bring you my insecurities. Let me bring you that. And you bring me your word. If you bring Him your doubt, He'll bring you His clarity. And you'll be able to step out and go forth with joy and be led by peace. In Jesus' name, you can do that.